These 100 Chinese characters are the most commonly used in daily life, and they are also the foundation of a Chinese character system. Chinese characters related to numbers. 一, we just use a horizontal line as the character for the 1 in numbers. Write a horizontal line from left to right. It is 1. The horizontal line, pronounced as 一 in Chinese characters, pronounced as 横 in strokes. 2. Two horizontal lines are the 2 in Chinese. 1 横 on the top, 1 横 at bottom. The upper 横 is short. The lower one is long. We need to follow the order from left to right, from top to bottom, to write Chinese character strokes. 3. 3 horizontal lines. It is 3 in Chinese. Pay attention to the writing of 3. The upper 2 lines are short. The bottom one is long. 横, 横, 横. So, the 4 horizontal lines are the Chinese number 4. Please watch this video to get the answer and more Chinese numbers. Next, we will learn the Chinese number 10. 10. In the middle of 一, we add a 竖 stroke. This is 10, the 10 in Chinese. Let's write it from left to right, from top to bottom. 横, 竖. This is 10. Let's use a few examples to practice these Chinese numbers. 11, 12, 23, 31. 上. Let's see the ancient script of 上. There is something above the horizontal line. This is 上. It's very similar to the writing of the character 2, which is 2 lines. So, now the 上 has an additional stroke 竖 to differ from 2. Write from top to bottom. 竖, 横, 横. This is 上, upper, on, or above. 下. Contrary to 上, there is something below the horizontal line. This is 下, means below, down. Write from left to right, top to bottom. 横, 竖, 点. This is the character 下. For example, 上下 means up and down, above, also. 20上下, 20 also. 中. We have learned up, 上, down, 下. What is the character for middle? It is 中. The ancient scripts of 中 have a circle in the middle, which means an area. Set up a flag in the center of this area. This is the character 中. The meaning of 中 is middle. center. Its writing is 竖横折横竖. For example, 上中下 top, middle, and bottom. 中国 China. I will teach the character 国 in the later part. By the way, please note that in this video, the examples are all written in simplified Chinese. Chinese characters related to human. 人. Chinese characters are very similar to pictures. The drawing of 人 is a person who is doing 作揖, bowing with hands folded in front. 作揖 is a long-standing etiquette. Chinese Asians did 作揖 to each other when they met. It can also be seen that the ancient Chinese believed that a person who understands etiquette is the true civilized person. Writing from left to right. Write the 撇 first, then the 捺. This is 人, person, people. Example, 二人, two people. Ge. Ge is a very commonly used mirror word in Chinese. Ge was created relatively late in Chinese characters, so we can't find its ancient scripts. The writing of traditional ge and simplified ge is different. The traditional writing is 撇竖竖横折横竖竖横折横横. The simplified writing is 撇捺竖. The mirror word is a distinctive feature of Chinese language. For example, saying 3 people in English, we need to say 3个人 in Chinese. Da. The picture of Da depicts a standing man. He opened his arms and legs. The body appears very large. To write it, 横撇捺. For example, 大人一个大人小 We've learned 大. Let's check the character of small. There are 3 small things in the picture. It could be sand or raindrops. The writing is 竖钩点点. For example, 小人大小少 小 and 少 are cognate words. Add a 撇 below the 小. 少 means that the quantity is less than needed. R. This picture depicts a child, and its fontanelle hasn't been closed. Enough, the meaning of R is either a child or son. In addition, it's also the notation for Chinese 儿化 pronunciation, adding an sound at the end of a Chinese character. This is 儿化 in Chinese. You may know that Beijingers are very fond of speaking 儿话. The traditional writing is
撇竖横横折横横撇竖弯钩
The simplified writing is
撇竖弯钩
For example,
小儿大个一个小人儿
子 draws a baby in swaddling clothes. He has a big head and opens his arms. 子 means son and descendants. The writing is
横撇弯钩横
For example,
儿子小子
小子 means a boy or young man. 女 as kneeling woman, putting hands together in front of her body. This posture seems to be courtesy, or it's like holding a baby. This is 女 woman, female. Writing is
撇点撇横
For example,
子女女人女儿
好 A mother has her own child. Of course, it's good. The child is under the care of a mother. That's also good. 好 means good, fine, nice. Let's write it.
撇点撇横横撇弯钩横
For example,
好人一个好儿子
去 The upper part of 去 is one walking person. The lower part is his cave. A man leaves his cave with strides. The original meaning of 去 is to live. In modern Chinese, the meaning of 去 is to go towards. The walking direction has changed from the original 去. Writing
横竖横撇折点
For example,
上去下去
长 What Chang drawing is an old man with long hair. This character has two pronunciations. When reading 长, it means getting older or growing up. When reading 长, it means long in length. The traditional writing is
横竖横横横竖提撇捺
The simplified writing is
撇横竖提捺
For example,
长大，好长，
老 Lao is an old man with long hair leaning on a cane. It means that people are in old age. The writing is
横竖横，撇撇竖弯钩。
For example,
老人，老大，
天 The tian of ancient Chinese characters draws a person protruding a person's head. Tian means the top of a person's head. Above the head is the sky, so tian refers to the sky. Gods, weather, daytime. The writing is
横横撇捺。
For example,
3天，天上，天下，
Wen. Wen is also a person, but highlight the tattoo pattern on the body. So the original meaning of Wen is tattoo. That is the drawing on the body. Wen has many extended meanings, such as 文字、中文、英文、文章、文化、文明。Chinese people attach great importance to culture. In Chinese culture, Wen is a very, very important character. The writing of Wen is
点横撇捺。
For example,
中文，上文，下文，天文，
Chinese characters related to the body. 头 The right part of the traditional 头 is ear. The ear is a person with the protruding head. Left half 豆 representing the sound of this character. The simplified 头 on the top of character 大 use 2 points to indicate that this is the head. The traditional writing is
横竖横折横点撇提横撇竖横折横横横撇点。
The simplified writing is
点点横撇点。
For example,
头上，
目 Mu is an eye and it's an erected eye. The writing is
竖横折横横横。
剑 Jian is a person with protruding eyes. It means that a person sees something. The traditional writing is
竖横折横横横撇竖弯钩
The simplified writing is
竖横折撇竖弯钩
For example,
见人
R. R is a joint of a human ear. R means ears. The writing is
横竖竖横横横
For example,
耳目
字 A pictogram of the nose, but the meaning of 字 is oneself. When people refer to themselves, they often point their fingers on their own nose, so the 字 has the meaning of oneself. The writing is
撇竖横折横横横
For example,
自个儿
口 口 is the pictogram of the mouth. It means the mouth, the entrance. 口 is also a mirror word. The writing is
竖横折横
For example,
人口三口人
眼 The lower half of 眼 is mouth. The upper half is a deformation of the tongue. The meaning of 眼 is what a person says with their tongue. In simplified Chinese characters, when 眼 is a part of a Chinese character, it will be written as the radical of speech. The writing of 眼 is
点横横横竖横折横
The writing of radical 眼 is
点横折体
语 The meaning of 语 is to talk to others, or the language spoken. Comprised of 言, 无, 口, three parts. 无 and 口 composes the character 无. 无 means me in ancient Chinese, so 语 means that I talk to others. The traditional writing is
点横横横竖横折横横竖横折横竖横折横
The simplified writing is
点横折体横竖横折横竖横折横
For example,
语言口语自言自语
心 Xin is like the shape of the heart. The meaning of Xin is related to mood and emotion. When Xin is written in the left half of Chinese characters, it should be written as the radical of heart. The writing of xin is
点卧钩点点
The writing of radical of heart is
点点竖
For example,
中心人心心上人
手 It is the shape of a hand. Its meaning is the hand. 手 as the left half of Chinese characters should be written as the radical of hand. The writing of 手 is
撇横横竖钩
The writing of radical of hand is
横竖钩提
For example,
二手老手手心手语
力 力 is like a powerful arm. Meaning is strength. The writing is
横折钩撇
For example,
心力目力
看 The upper part is a hand. The lower part is eye. It's like putting your hand over your eyes and looking into the distance. The meaning of 看 is to look. The writing is
撇横横撇竖横折横横横
For example,
看见好看看一看
you. The script of you derived from the figure of right hand. But in modern Chinese, it doesn't mean the right hand. You means again, repeating one action after another. Writing
横撇捺
For example,
又看又去又一个人去
you. The upper part is right hand. The lower part is a mouth. You is a directional word. Represents the right side. The writing is
横撇竖横折横
For example,
右手 右耳，
左 upper is left hand, lower is 弓. 弓 is a tool. 左 is also a directional word, represents the left side. The writing is
横、撇、横、竖、横。
For example,
左耳，左手，
足 Zu of ancient Chinese characters, including legs and feet. Upper is kou. This kou represents the leg or knee. Lower is zhi. Zhi is the shape of one foot. Zu in modern Chinese, its meaning is just feet, excluding legs. When written as the left half of a Chinese character, Zu will be written as the radical of foot. The writing of Zu is
竖，横折，横竖横撇捺，
the radical of foot
竖，横折，横竖横竖提。
For example,
女足，手足，
走 The upper part is a fast runner. His two arms and legs became straight lines. The lower part is 指, representing the feet. The original meaning of 走 is running. The current meaning is walking. The way to write it is
横竖横竖横撇捺。
For example,
走一走，
Chinese characters related to nature. Mu. Mu is like a tree. It means trees or wood. The writing is
横竖撇捺。
For example,
木头，
木头人. 木头人 means a person, especially in relationships, who is insensitive or unresponsive. 部 It's mu without the head. It is to restrict a plant, doesn't allow it to grow. So, 不 does indicate the meaning of negation. Writing
横撇竖点，
For example,
不好看，不长，不去，不言不语，
土 土 resembles a lump of earth on the ground. 土 means soil on the ground. The writing is
横竖横
For example,
尘土
小 and 土 is 尘. Little soil is dust. 山 The shape of 山 like a mountain. It means mountain. The writing is
竖竖折竖
For example,
大山山上下山
水 水 is the flowing water in a river. 水 as a left part in one character should be written as the radical of water. The writing of 水 is
竖钩横撇撇捺
The writing of the radical of water.
点点提
For example,
水上水下水土
汉 Han is the Han of Hanyu. At the beginning, Han is the name of a river in China, where the Han people originated. Later on, it became the name of the Han dynasty because the Han dynasty was strong and had a vast territory. So Han became the character representing China. The writing of traditional Han is
点点提横竖竖横竖横折横横横撇捺
the writing of simplified Han.
点点提横撇捺
For example,
汉人汉水汉语
火 is like a burning flame. As the bottom part of Chinese characters, generally, 火 will be written as the 4-point bottom. The writing of 火 is
点撇撇捺
the writing of 4-point bottom.
点点点点
For example,
大火火力
日 The 日 is like the sun. It means the sun or a day. The writing is
竖横折横横
For example,
三日日子
是 The upper half is the sun, and the lower half is the feet. The ancient Chinese may have worshipped the sun, so following the sun is right. So 是 has the right and correct meaning. Later on, it became an affirmative verb. It's written in the following way.
竖横折，横横横，竖横撇捺。
For example,
不是，是个人，不是个人，
月 is like a crescent moon. It means the moon or month. The moon is written as
撇横折钩，横横。
For example,
1月2月
明 日 and 月 can form the character 明. Its meaning is bright. 西 is also like a crescent moon. It means when the sun sets and the moon appears. Its meaning is evening. The writing is
撇横撇点，
明. The upper half of 明 is 西. The lower half is the mouth. When it's dark and you can't see people clearly, you need to call someone else's name for communication. Name is the meaning of 明. The writing is
撇横撇点竖横折横。
For example,
大名，人名，
雨 The 雨 looks like rain. It means rain or various types of precipitation. Its writing is
横竖横折钩，竖点点点点。
For example,
下小雨，雨水，
云 is like clouds in the sky. There must be clouds when it rains, so the traditional 云 has a rain prefix on it. The traditional writing is
横点横钩，竖点点点点，横横撇折点。
The simplified writing is
横横撇折点。
Chinese characters related to animals. 肉 is a pictogram of a piece of meat. In Chinese characters, it will be written as 月. In the radicals, it is called 肉月旁. Many words related to body parts have 肉月旁. The writing is
竖横折钩， 撇点撇点。
The writing of 肉月旁 is
撇横折钩横横。
For example, do's. Do is a pictophonetic character composed of 肉月旁 and 土。牛 The牛is like a calf's head. It means all kinds of cows. The writing is
撇横横竖。
For example,
牛头。牛肉。
一头牛 The toe here is a measure word. 羊 Yang is like a sheep's head. It means all kinds of sheep. The writing is
点撇横横横竖。
For example,
羊头。羊肉。
犬 Like a dog, 犬 means dogs. When composing Chinese characters, as the left half of a Chinese character, the 犬 should be written as the radical of dog. The radical of dog represents various animals. The writing of 犬 is
横撇点。
The writing of radical of dog
捺撇弯钩撇。
犬 is a formal word for dog. In spoken language, we often see 狗 such as 小狗。马 Clearly, the script of 马 is an image of a horse. The traditional horse script is
横竖横横竖横折钩点点点点。
The simplified horse script is
横折竖折折钩横。
For example,
马力。马上走。
鸟 Niao is like a bird standing on a tree, so it refers to various birds. The traditional script is
撇竖横折横横横横折钩点点点点。
The simplified script is
撇横折钩点竖折折钩横。
For example,
鸟语。
zhi. The upper half of the traditional zhi is zhui. Zhui is a bird with a short tail. The lower half is a hand. The image of zhi is having a bird in the hand. Now, it's simplified to zhi. It is a mirror word. The traditional writing is
撇竖点横横横竖横。
The simplified writing is
竖横折横撇捺点。
For example,
一只鸟。
鱼 is like a fish. It means fish. The traditional way of writing 鱼 is
撇横撇竖横折横竖横点点点点。
The simplified 鱼 is
撇横撇竖横折横竖横横。
For example,
小鱼。鱼肉。
虫 is like a worm, refers to various insects. So the traditional 虫 contains 3 worms. The traditional writing is
竖横折横竖横点竖横折横竖横点竖横折横竖横点。横点。
The simplified writing. For example,
横折虫子竖。一只虫子。
它 is like a snake, and the snake head is painted quite large. It is a pronoun in modern Chinese, refers to animals and plants and inanimate things. Its writing is
点点横钩撇竖弯钩。
For example,
它是马。它是一只鸟。
也 and 它 are cognate words. 也 is also a snake. It's like a snake crawling. Later on, 也 became a modal particle. In modern Chinese, 也 means that same as another situation. The writing of 也 is
横折钩竖弯钩。
For example,
也不去。
Chinese characters related to farming. 田 is like for farmlands. It means farmland. 田's handwriting is
竖横折横竖横。
For example,
水田。
南 The upper of the Nan is farmland. The lower part is the Li. Li is an arm. Nan means someone who is hardworking in the farmland. Naturally, it is the man. The writing of nan is
竖横折，横竖横，横折钩，撇。
For example,
男人，男男女女，
和 is like a green plant that ripens and bends down. The meaning of 和 is cereal plant. The writing of 和 is
撇横竖撇捺。
For example, 秋天 autumn. Harvest grains in autumn. After harvesting, burn the straw in the field with fire. Therefore, 和 and 火 is 秋 autumn. Mi is like the mature ears of grains. Mi means the fruit of grains. The writing is
点撇横竖撇捺。
For example, 大米小米 is also the brand of Xiaomi mobile phone. Lai is like the whole wheat. Research has shown that wheat was introduced to China from the Arab region thousands of years ago. So wheat comes from outside. There is a meaning of coming in 来. In modern Chinese, the meaning of 来 is coming. It is not related to wheat. The traditional writing is
横撇点撇点竖撇捺。
The simplified writing is
横点撇横竖撇捺。
For example,
来去
年 From the perspective of ancient writing, 年 is composed of two characters. Upper is 和, lower is 人. Carrying the harvested grain back on shoulders is the character 年. 年 means the annual harvest of grains and the time of harvest. Later on, 年 became the year of time. The 年 is written in the following way.
撇横横竖横竖。
For example,
10年上年老年人
有 is like a bottle of wine. 有 is not a commonly used character, but it can form many common characters related to alcohol, such as 酒. The writing of 有 is
横竖横折撇竖弯横横。
The writing of 酒 is
点点提横竖横折撇竖弯横横。
For example,
酒水 米酒。
Chinese characters related to building.
门
The 门 is 2 doors. The traditional writing is
竖横折横横竖横折钩横横
The simplified writing is
点竖横折钩
For example,
门口木门
巷 巷 is a window of a house. The window always faces in one direction, so 巷 means the direction of heading. The writing of 巷 is
撇竖横折钩竖横折横
For example,
走向看向去向
高 is like a tall building on a high platform. It means the height is very high. The writing is
点横竖横折横竖横折钩竖横折横
For example,
高中高下
家 The upper part is the radical of a house. We call it 宝盖头, which represents residence. Below is 史. 史 is the domesticated pig by humans. For the Asians, home is the place where they kept their animals. The writing of 家 is
点点横钩横撇弯钩撇撇撇捺
Example,
家人
字 There is a child under the house. Having a child at home. The original meaning of 字 is childbirth. Later, it represented Chinese characters. Because Chinese characters are a transmission from simple to complex. It is a reproducing system. The writing of 字 is
点点横钩横撇弯钩横
For example,
汉字名字
Chinese characters related to clothing. Yi. Yi is like a clothes. It is a general term for various types of clothing. As a radical, when written on the left side of Chinese characters, to be written as the radical of clothing, the writing of yi is
点横撇竖提撇捺
The writing of radical of clothing is
点横撇竖撇点
For example,
大衣雨衣
丝. Su is like 2 bundles of silk. China is a country of silk. Su is very important in Chinese characters. Su as a radical. When written on the left side of Chinese characters, it should be written as the radical of silk, 叫丝旁. The writing of 丝 is
撇折撇折点点点点撇折撇折点竖钩撇点
The simplified 丝 is
撇折撇折撇折撇折横
For example,
长丝
Chinese characters related to tools. Gong. Gong is a tool used by ancient craftsmen to draw right angles or squares. Later, the writing is simplified. Its meaning is tool or work. The writing is
横竖横
For example,
工人
网. Wang is like a bird catching or fishing net. Hunting was a very important way for ancient people to obtain food. The Wang now also refers to the internet. The traditional writing is
撇折撇折点点点点竖横折钩点撇横点横竖弯
The simplified writing is
竖横折钩撇点撇点
For example,
上网网上
Bei. Bei is like the shell of shell animals. Thousands of years ago, ancient Chinese people used shells as money. So most of characters related to trade contain the radical bei. The writing of traditional bei is
竖横折横横横撇点
The simplified script is
竖横折撇点
Yong. Yong is like a bell. It's also like a bucket. Yong should be a tool at the beginning. Later on, the meaning of yong is use. The writing is
撇横折钩横横竖
For example,
不用去不用来
Chinese characters related to travel. 车. 车 is like a two-wheeled carriage. This is the tool used by ancient Chinese people for travel or warfare. The writing of traditional 车 is
横竖横折，横横横竖。
The simplified 车 is
横撇折横竖。
For example,
马车，牛车，
两. 两 is a carriage pulled by two horses. So, 两's meaning is two people together or two things together. The writing of a traditional 两 is
横竖横折钩，竖撇点撇点。
The simplified 两 is
横竖横折钩，撇点撇点。
For example,
两个，两天，
舟. 舟 is like a small boat. Most Chinese characters related to ships have the radical 舟. The writing of 舟 is
撇撇横折钩，点横点。
For example,
小舟，
行. 行 is like a crossroads. It's also a polyphonic character. When reading as 行, the meaning is the road. 行 also means the lines of words or the categories of industry. When reading as 行, it means walking. As a Chinese radical, 行 should be written as the 双人旁. The meaning of 双人旁 is the road or traveling. The way to write 行 is
撇撇竖横横竖钩。
The way to write 双人旁.
撇撇竖。
For example,
行走，行人，三行字，
方. Fang means square or direction. Now, it's not easy to get the connection between the ancient scripts and the meaning of Fang. The writing is
点横横折钩撇。
For example,
方向，一方水土，大方，
Chinese characters related to governance. Dao. Dao is like the shape of a knife. Dao is ancient people's weapon and tool. when written on the right side in Chinese characters, should be written as the radical of a knife. The writing of dou is
横折钩撇
radical of knife.
竖竖钩
For example,
一刀刀鱼
戈 Ge is an ancient long weapon. Characters related to war often contains the character ge. The writing is
横斜钩撇点
For example, 武 combine 指 the notation of the foot and ge weapon together. It looks like the army is marching. This is the martial character Wu. Wu is related to military affairs. Guo. The kou in traditional Guo represents the city. The line outside the city represents the guarding army. The character Ge is the weapon of the army. The outer box represents the national territory. So we can say the traditional Guo, its meaning is to defend the territory with weapon Ge. The simplified Guo contains the character Yu. Yu, jade, is very valuable in Chinese culture. The outer box represents the national territory. So the simplified Guo means that the territory as precious as jade is your country. The writing of traditional Guo is
竖横折横竖横折横提斜钩撇点横
The simplified Guo is
竖横折横横竖横点横
For example,
中国国家国人
Wang. Wang is like the X used by the king. It is a symbol of the king's authority. The ancients used this X notation, Wang, to represent the king. Writing is
横横竖横
For example,
国王王国
军 Jun is a pictophonetic character. Top is the character Yun, which is the sound part. Below is the character Che, representing military equipment. Together, Jun means the military. The traditional writing is
点横钩横竖横折横横横竖
The simplified writing is
点横钩横撇折横竖
For example,
军人 行军。两军。
明 The ancient Chinese character Ming is like piercing a person's eyes with a sharp dagger. This piercing image was used to represent the ordinary people. Perhaps because in ancient China, noble rulers believed that ordinary people have no education, short-sighted, just like a blind person. The writing of Ming is
横折，横竖提，横斜钩。
For example,
人民。国民。
主 is the spirit tablet used in ancient sacrifices. It represents the deceased ancestors. So the meaning of 主 is God, master, owner, manager, extended to foundation, management, and other meanings. The writing is
点横横竖横。
For example,
主人。民主。
士 and 主 are cognate characters. 士 as the spirit tablet or altar used in sacrifice. Its meaning is related to the worship of ancestors and gods. Now it means to show. The transition of shi's meaning may be because sacrifice is the things man show to the god, and the oracle is what God show to man. 士 as a component of Chinese characters, sometimes should be written as the radical of cars. The writing of 士 is
横横竖钩撇点。
The writing of radical of God is
点横撇竖点。
For example, 天神 Shen is a pictorial phonetic character. The radical of God on the left indicates a relationship with the ancestral gods. Shen is the sound part. 有 contains a hand on the top and meat at the bottom. Meat at a hand, so 有 means having. The writing is
横撇竖横折钩横横。
For example,
有人。有名。
多 Ancient Chinese people used meat for sacrifices. 2 pieces of meat are 多. 多 means many. The writing is
撇横撇点撇横撇点。
For example,
不多。多少。
Chinese characters related to communication. 你 In Chinese characters, the character 你 appeared relatively late. Now only used as a pronoun means you in English. It's difficult for us to find the evolution process of 你 from related books. 你 writing is
撇竖撇横钩竖钩撇点。
For example, 你好。您好 Add the character 心 below 你. This is a respectful greeting for the people you met. 你好 You can also say 您好。我 was a long weapon. From a very early age, 我 is used as the first personal pronoun. The meaning of a weapon has disappeared. 我 in Chinese now means I, me in English. The writing is
撇横竖钩提斜钩撇点。
For example,
我国我方
他 appears relatively late in Chinese characters. Now, 他 means he, him in English, used only as a third-person pronoun. Writing is
撇竖横折钩竖竖弯钩。
For example, 她 means she, her in English, a third-person pronoun referring to the female. We have learned before 她 means it in English, a pronoun referring to animals or things. 们 The radical of people indicates that this character is related to people. 们 represents sound. 们 can be added to nouns or pronouns to indicate the plural. The traditional writing is
撇竖竖横折横横竖横折钩横横。
The simplified writing is
撇竖点竖横折钩。
For example,
我们你们他们
ma. Ma is a pictophonetic character. 口 indicates that this character is related to speaking. Ma represents sound. Ma is used to express a question added to the end of a sentence. The traditional writing is
竖横折横横竖横横竖横折钩点点点点。
The simplified writing is
竖横折横横折竖折折钩横。
For example, 你是中国人吗？ 我是中国人。